gentlemen, welcome to the Good Roads Podcast. This is the Bulletin Breakdown for Monday, March 2nd. And as you know, we have 3 interesting, important, or amusing stories for you with 5 minutes each as our contributors discuss and elaborate on it a little bit more. And while we're at it, let's get to know those contributors a little bit more. Andrew Blackburn and Thomas Barakat. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Can't complain.
Yeah, can't complain, Jared. All's good. We're busy as usual here at Good Roads HQ, but all's good.
Yeah, Thomas and I are knees deep in conference planning, so that's just taking a break to do the podcast today.
Well, the funnest part of our week, Jared, because we get to talk to you.
As we know, all work and no play makes Andrew a dull boy. So what's going on the weekend, boys? It can't be work all the time.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to tell you one thing that I'm excited for, and I don't know if you guys do this, or watch this, but HBO hit show Industry season finale on Sunday. Great show. If you haven't watched it, check it out. You heard it here first.
Promise guarantee. There you go.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's dive into it first this week.
Now that sorry, not to interrupt, but now that Netflix is not buying HBO, it's like I don't see how my path to getting HBO is makes sense anymore.
I think Craig's Canadian too, right?
Yeah.
I'm not giving Bell any of my money.
Canadian guys. All right, let's dive into it this week. We got 3 stories. Everybody knows how this goes. I just explained it. So we're going to kick it off with the first one. No more free rides. Ontario cities are taking on Enbridge. We're going to give you guys 5 minutes on the clock, and in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Thanks, Jared. I'll get the ball rolling here. So, yeah, this was actually this was a really interesting story, which was featured in the National Observer, and it's essentially talking about underground utilities, namely Enbridge Gas, having their kind of infrastructure underneath municipal roads, right? Due to historic kind of provincial legislation and the fact that Enbridge kind of used to be a crown corporation or owned by the government, that sort of thing. There exists this kind of precedent that they have access to the municipal right of way, and at no cost, right? So they essentially get that access for free. The flip side of that is that Enbridge is now a kind of private corporation. I think everybody here knows that. Everybody's kind of worked with them. And so there's a few municipalities, and it was Guelph that I think that started leading the way. Waterloo's jumped in, Kawartha Lakes as well, who are kind of coming forward and challenging this now. And they're essentially arguing, well, if Enbridge is a private company and they're making billions of dollars in revenue, why do they get free access to the municipal right of way? Maybe we should be charging them a fee to be able to do that. And they were kind of looking at different examples in terms of jurisdictionally within Canada. British Columbia and Alberta are 2 jurisdictions where they do in fact charge the natural gas providers for access to that right of way. So I guess the question now is, how do we kind of balance, this kind of precedent with municipalities asking to be kind of compensated for it? Mm-hmm. Enbridge, now, just to be fair, Enbridge has responded by essentially saying, well, we actually provide a ton of funding to municipalities already.
No, that's they're just paying their property taxes. I was kind of annoyed when I saw this. Is like, yes, you're paying your property taxes like every other landowner in the province. That's nothing special. That's not like you don't get a gold cap for doing that. I don't know. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
And that's probably what a lot of maybe people on the municipal side are saying too. They're saying, well, this is your obligation anyways. Shouldn't you have to go not above and beyond it, but for it to be kind of equitable, should Enbridge have to pay more? And not just Enbridge, but this is kind of just the example here. I don't want to single out just one utility provider, but it's just, this is a very kind of distinct and kind of specific example.
Yeah, this was something I had just learned about with this article. So I wasn't really aware of this landscape in general. Like hadn't been aware of it. But it's like they are kind of unique in that like everybody else is paying their share. I just, I could spend all the time bashing the telcos, but they are paying for the same access that Enbridge gets excluded for. The Alberta and BC examples are interesting comparisons because so that's I think I can't, not sure if you got to that point, but like the Enbridge is saying is like, if we do this, then the cost will probably get passed down to the consumer. Let's not forget that they have a $2.3 billion profits last year. Sure, yeah, saddle that with the consumer with all of the profits that you get. But these franchise fees have existed in Alberta and I'm not sure about BC, but I think they date back to the 50s or the 60s, even when the utilities were still tied to government organizations. So it's like these things have, there's a precedent for these things. They exist, and they have been part of the utility bills there for a very, very long time. So there's a model to go after, and I think really it comes down to the OEB. So I mean, changing the regulation, and I know Toronto and Ontario or Ottawa have also been pushing provincial government to change the regulation. There's that, but if that does happen, then it would be up to the OEB to protect the consumer when it comes to these franchise fees coming down to them.
Right. But we also do know, kind of based on historical precedent here, that, and not even that historical, that the province could just essentially overrule what the OEB
well, and they have sided on Enbridge's side very recently. So
on the right to kind of connect, exactly. That was, I think, just over a year ago, 2 years ago. We'll see which way. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out, and because the provincial government will have to weigh in at some point. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think at the very least, having this as a discussion point kind of opens up a conversation, a broader discussion on who should be paying what, and especially when it comes to municipal fiscal sustainability, because municipalities are looking for different ways to raise revenue because they're so cash strapped. And this is probably just one of the many ways that they're kind of considering to do that.
All right. Let's end it there. That one seemed to strike a nerve, especially with Andrew there. It's good to see you come out of your shell there a little bit, Andrew. All right, let's move on to number 2. When will the Gordie open? Is it going to take a Gordie Howe hat trick? We got a goal with the bridge built. We're in the middle of a fight. Gentlemen, let's put 5 minutes on the clock. Let's have the same vigor that we had for the last one in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
All right. So, this one probably been on a lot of people's national news radars with Trump weighing in on this. So there's
more like Trump whining in, but anyway.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, oh, Canadians are treating us unfair. It's like, yeah, right, buddy. Anyway, so this was another thing where I've kind of learned a little bit about this as a not a native Ontarian, and I've only been to Detroit one time, and I think this was 10 years ago. I must have taken the bus across the border. I had no idea there were 0 avenues to cross without a car. And apparently this bus has been cut off as of last August. So it's just like, how do you get across the border?
Right. I think the Rainbow Bridge has a pedestrian area to cross, like without a car, but I don't know that the one in Windsor does.
Okay, all right. Apparently, But so apparently, this I'm just reading all of these things is apparently there's no way to cycle or bike across from that chunk there. So from Windsor, which is fascinating because it just makes me think of No Country for Old Men, the good old days where you could walk across the Mexican border with a blood-soaked jacket, and they just go, I know things are a lot different nowadays, but. This was very interesting
story. Yeah, it is, and it's kind of it's. I think what reading this, and I think one of the reasons why this is it's so topical is that this bridge, the planning for this started 25 years ago. I think, right?
Yeah.
Think about where we were 25 years ago. It would have been 2001, maybe just after the 9/11 attacks. I'm not sure when in 2001 it started. But Canada and the U.S.
early 2000s,
we're best friends. We're kind of we're the best neighbors. Gander, Newfoundland. We took care of the Americans, come from away, all this stuff. And we're like, we're going to keep strengthening this relationship. And then now 25 years later, we're trying to open it. And it's such a different atmosphere and environment. And like, we hope obviously that things can kind of go back to a bit of a more, good neighborly kind of relationship. And a lot of obviously Canadians and Americans, the average Canadian, the average American, we all love each other. We have nothing against them. We want these relationships to be there, to be existing. We want to have, and to do that, you have to have these connections. You have to have these cultural experiences going across the border, especially if you live in southwestern Ontario, kind of in the Windsor, Essex area. Like, I mean, just talking to our executive director, Scott Butler, who grew up in Wheatley, Ontario, he spent more time in Detroit probably than he spent in like Toronto when he was younger. Yeah. And so we should trying to enable and facilitate this kind of cultural and cross-border experiences so that we can kind of keep this relationship, this amazing relationship that we've had for so long, and build on it, and being able to do all these different things.
It's kind of interesting hearing the story of this bridge, is because I don't think it was originally conceived with with the bike lane, and then a lot of cycling advocates apparently have gotten involved, including the bike mayor of Windsor, and they were very successful.
Just to be clear, Andrew, it is a multi-use trail. It's not specifically a bike lane.
Yeah. No, but that changes.
Cyclists, it's separated though.
Yeah, and it's just like a lot of those advocates are just saying like, you know what? If we open the bridge, I'm not even going to use it.
and this is where I find it so disappointing, and it's just because it should never have gone to that point. Obviously, we're not here to talk geopolitics, but it's hard not to especially when infrastructure like that takes so long to build. You can't, now it's like, are people going to go? I hope in a couple of years, maybe things will kind of settle down, and
I think it's one of those things where it's just like, I think even all of us people who are saying like, well, I'm not going to the States, I'm not dealing with I'm not risking the border crossing with some zealous glorified mall cop TSA exerting his power arbitrarily on whoever he wants to. It's like, why would I risk that? Exactly. And I think a lot of people are thinking is like, well, one day I want to go back.
Hopefully.
I hear downtown Detroit has been very different, even in the last 10 years.
I've heard basically since they kind of bottomed out when they had to declare bankruptcy, I've heard it's been absolutely transformed. Yeah. They've got like an LRT now there connecting. I think the young
people bought up businesses and properties because it was like it was affordable, and they were starting up. Entrepreneurial spirit lives on, right?
Yeah. So I hope that one day, once this all settles, maybe we can take a trip down that bridge, Andrew. Maybe it can be some sort of cultural experience, cycling tour. Some sort of conference or something.
If I have any idea of how I could get a bike to Windsor, then then let's go for it.
All right. Well, you could always
bike to Windsor, Andrew.
I think I would take at least 2 hours. Good roads at this at the Gordie Howe Bridge in 2028. When's the next election?
Sorry, which election?
Let's give it at least a year or two after the next election for things to die down, because I'm sure.
There we go.
2028. Yeah.
All right. Another heated one, gentlemen. Let's move on to I guess the amusing portion of these articles. Closing the door on Waymo's robotaxi problems. We'll give you 5 minutes on the clock, and in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Yeah, so this, I think I mentioned this a couple of episodes ago when I said we love including this stuff in our bulletin and now in the podcast, obviously, because there's just there seems to be this kind of thinking that technology is going to solve all of our problems, and all hail. I think I said this in the other episode too. All hail the tech bros and whatever. AI is going to replace us all. So apparently Waymo, which is owned by Alphabet, as everybody knows, Alphabet is Google, that sort of stuff. They have, and we did talk about this last week when we talked about rural transit, but they have the autonomous vehicles. Waymo vehicles will not move if a door is left open, right? So if somebody's taking the Waymo and then doesn't close the door and just leaves. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I find that to be kind of odd. I feel like it's very natural to just close the door.
I find that absolutely hilarious that somebody would just be like, just gonna leave, just walk away. And it's just apparently this is happening so often that it's an issue. So it's just like, what's the mentality? Is this on purpose? Is this like a little piece of local muckraking?
No, Andrew, I think I will just say this: when it comes to people, you never underestimate people. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it just, don't be so surprised, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But I think this also tells you a lot about like the mentality of tech bros who, like, let's do big picture and let's do broad generalizations. A lot of them are just like forcing through AVs at all costs,
and they also, a lot of these tech pros don't understand humans because they're barely human themselves.
Yeah, they don't. Anyway, they don't care about safety. There's going to be a cost here, and they're just pushing it through. Right.
We haven't even gotten to the point, the actual story, which is that Waymo is now paying DoorDash drivers or cyclists or whatever to come and close doors on Waymos that were left open.
And I know that's the point of the story to you, but the point of the story to me is that we know automatic door technology exists. This isn't like a problem that needs to be solved. Like, everybody with a modern vehicle can push a button and the back of their car will automatically close, and these things can happen. And we got it's funny how often doors are becoming a problem. Like as anybody who read the bulletin last year would have heard the horrifying story of the Tesla doors that require power in order to open. And then if your car loses power and then catches on fire, what are you going to do?
Right. But who needs to worry about such things if you're Elon Musk?
No, exactly.
But the municipal angle here, because we always have to bring it back to the municipal angle, is like, if you are a city that has these autonomous vehicles, you're going to get stalled AVs blocking lanes of traffic. Now, imagine this is like downtown Toronto or downtown Ottawa or any other big city, even not a big city, but just there, it's just blocking a lane of traffic, right? And it just causes even more congestion. It's also a road safety consideration as well. Now, I guess you probably wouldn't get doored if the door is already open if you're like a cyclist, but it could still happen. It could still happen.
Well, once these are deployed, I'll be very, we're going to hear a story like that. Like, if it hasn't happened already, like, there's got to be a guy who's been doored or is about to be doored by a Waymo car in the near future. But to bring it back to the DoorDash, it's just like, it's also just kind of funny that this is, the mentality of the of Waymo is this is like, okay, instead of like thinking of a big picture solution to this problem, is like, okay, we'll pay a guy $11.25 to close the door.
I mean, maybe this is kind of like a Band-Aid solution. Like,
no, you're probably right.
Our understanding is that these tech bros, they don't even want to have DoorDash drivers. They want everything to be automated. They want to get rid of the human side of all this stuff, which makes it so much more ironic that they need them because the technology keeps failing.
Well, that is another application for automated technology. And maybe I can actually lean into a little bit of a plug, because I know one of our speakers at the conference will be talking about this exact topic. Missy Cummings will be coming to the conference. And I know it's like, replacing DoorDash drivers is actually on the menu in a lot of cities. We kind of had these around in Toronto with those little automated robots that were delivering food for people.
Robot delivery vehicles.
I think Missy is actually like pro those robots.
Okay. Well, I would love to hear from an expert on why she likes those versus maybe not so much other things. But that's what the discussion's all about. Come to the conference and hear about it.
Yeah.
And we wrapped that one up on time. Way to go, boys. So we'll move on to our something fun. And since we're talking about the conference,
I was going to say, before we do that, I actually have there. I think I've included it in this week's bulletin in terms of something fun. It's not a story in and of itself, but we talked about potholes. Was it last week maybe 2 weeks ago? A couple of weeks ago, we talked about potholes, and we talked about the pothole program and all this kind of stuff. And but did you guys hear? So first of all, potholes have just been absolutely atrocious this year, like all over the country, probably worse than normal.
Except in Toronto, because we've been so cold that there hasn't been any.
Really? I've actually heard it's been pretty bad in Toronto.
It was in the Star this year. It's like apparently the freeze thaw that creates more potholes has been like it just hasn't been happening.
True. So that's a good point, actually. Yeah. Although I did see some article about. Anyway, I'm not here to bash Toronto.
Sure.
I love Toronto. We're here to bash Halifax a little bit. Yeah, Halifax. But knowing that the potholes have been so bad in Halifax this year that even legendary singer Anne Murray has complained about them. So just so you guys know, at least for those of you, our municipalities here in Ontario, who are thinking, okay, my potholes are bad, at least you don't have, a celebrity or a legendary singer kind of
icon.
woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That would just make it that much worse.
Yeah, maybe we should just open up a Good Road store and get a T-shirt that says "At least we're not Halifax."
Yeah. Well, until next year's TIFF rolls around, and then we'll get the next group of celebrities complaining about Toronto traffic.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. That is kind of like an annual thing, but
well, that's a counter T-shirt for selling in Halifax then.
But we can give Toronto. This is a W for Toronto. They didn't have a celebrity complaining about the potholes this year. So
you know what? I got to give it to Toronto. A couple of years ago, I went out with the crews and saw them fill the potholes. They do a very good job of it. We got some good videos.
How did you manage that?
We have a couple board members on Toronto City Council. Upcoming President Paul Ainsley. Yeah, we did that. I got tons of stock for it. I don't know if we ever used it for anything, but
that's why I never thought I heard about it, Jared, because you never used it.
This as a study tour next year. Let's look into this.
Well, I don't know how interesting that would be for other municipalities who just fill their potholes. It'd be more interesting people like us who don't.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I completely forgot about the audiences. Maybe we should get one of those robots that fill potholes in the UK, and then we could base a study tour on that.
That would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. Although we just spent the whole segment bashing autonomous vehicles, and now we're going to bring in autonomous. You know what? I'm here. I'm pro pothole filling worker, Andrew. I'm not here to take away the jobs of our members.
Hey, man, they got to supervise the robot.
There you go. And honestly, I've talked to a guy who works in mines, and I know I told you guys this story the other day. I play hockey with a guy who works in the mines, and a lot of these mines are fully autonomous. But all of the workers that the jobs have taken have been moved to supporting these robots. Yeah. It's not like
you got to be around to make sure that they close the door to the automated trucks.
So, Jared, what you're saying now is that if Zoolander was remade, there would be no. I got the black lung, Pop. you know that. Yeah. An autonomous vehicle can't do that.
It'd be a little Tinny Tim from Futurama saying that. All right, we're going to wrap this up before we get too off topic. Just final thoughts. Good Roads Conference is coming up March 15th. The early bird is over. Get your registrations in now. Don't explain to your boss why you're paying extra money for the conference. We're giving you this opportunity, people, to get to the conference at a discounted rate. So take that opportunity now. Guelph Road School is coming up soon, and those courses are filling up fast. And I know every company says this, but I'm watching the numbers every day, and oh my God, everybody's getting into this quick. So do not get waitlisted on these courses, because they will help you get your CRS and help you build your experience and your resume, your portfolio, and everything like that, and help you move up in the world. If you're listening to this on YouTube, watching this on YouTube, looking at our smiling faces, give us a like, give us a comment. We love to hear from you. And until next time, everybody, take it easy.